Okay, so now we will be covering the app bar and the navigation bar. Let's start with that. So we need another widget in our adaptive scaffold, and that will be adaptive app bar. So for that, let's first create another folder here, like we created two widgets here, two widgets in the previous video. We will now create adaptive app bar. Okay, and inside this we will create a dart file which will be having the name as adaptive app bar. Again, similar things, adaptive app bar, and here we will be having that iOS call. Basically, you have two ways to supply this iOS variable. Either you can supply it here, or you can give it from the constructors, from the caller. So this time let's do it this way, this.ios, and we'll say that this is required, of course, because this is an adaptive widget. So we'll have another variable, bool is iOS. Okay, now what we'll do in iOS, we will be using Cupertino navigation bar. Let's keep it very simple, and otherwise we will be using app bar. Later we will add some variables to it or some fields to it, but let's just use this for now. Let's see how these different things look like. So inside this page scaffold, we will be supplying adaptive app bar, just like this. Okay, and here it will be this dot app bar. Of course, it's an optional thing, so it can be null as well. Great. Now in the Cupertino scaffold, we have something called as navigation bar. So we'll say, okay, app bar, go in there. Of course, this will give you some errors. We will fix it very soon. And then here as well, you have an app bar. There again, we will pass this app bar. Of course, there is again an error. Why? Because this says that the argument adaptive app bar can't be assigned to the parameter type of preferred size widget, because Scaffold uses this app bar, and this app bar should be extending or should be using preferred size widget class. So for that, what we will do is we will go to our adaptive app bar and we will use this mixin called preferred size widget. And as a result of this, we will need to actually override a function preferred size, and for that we will have to give it a size of something which has already been given. So let's say k toolbar height. This is the height which is being given to by default. Basically, this is the default height to material app bars. So we will say don't create it from width and height. Let's just create from height only, and we will supply k toolbar height to this. Okay, so this is ready for preferred size, and this is the same widget this is the same mixin that is being used in navigation bar as well. If you see here, the navigation bar is of Cupertino navigation bar type, and it won't, yes. So this is navigation bar which expects obstructing preferred size widget instead of preferred size widget. But what is this obstructing preferred size widget? So we'll go here and we will see that, okay, it implements preferred size widget, which means that this gives us additional functionality, but it also gives us functionality to supply preferred size. And using this information, we now understand that we need to change the height of our app bar based on whether it is iOS or it's not iOS. So I will run it without that change so that you will see, and then we will make the changes accordingly. Now this app bar, we saw that it uses obstructing preferred size boxed, so we will be using obstructing preferred size widget here as well. And as a result, we will now override another function, which is this. And what we will do is we will simply say true for now. Okay, we'll generalize it later, but let's quickly see the results. So in the adaptive scaffold, we have this very nice adaptive app bar already there, but we have not supplied it from this scaffold. So let's just do that. In the app bar, we will say, hey, take adaptive app bar, and just tell that it's iOS or not. So for that, we will be calculating this variable of iOS. So we will just copy it from here. Wouldn't it be nice if we make it as an extension function? I won't do it in this tutorial or in this series, but I highly recommend that you make it a common function. So this adaptive app bar obviously need to have this iOS feature. Okay, I think somewhere const. Great. And then this one. Great. Now let's run it for both the platforms, iOS and Android. So do you see app bar here? Yes, we see two different types of app bar. We see that there is some elevation here, there is no elevation here because they are platform specific app bars. That's the reason. If you want more confirmation on that, I would say let's just increase the elevation to 50, or maybe in material 3 the elevation is not at all there. So you see the color has changed here, right? So which means that there is, yes, this app bar is being run here. Okay, we will see more differences like this. We will soon add more functionalities to our app bar. So first and foremost thing is obstruct. So let's declare a variable final bool should obstruct. Okay, so that this directly goes into this field and we are able to control it from outside. I don't know why I can't click on it. It's installing again. Okay, so I am using it here, and then we will have a title. So the title will be of widget type. Why widget type? Because if you closely look at Cupertino navigation bar and app bar, there is a field called title and it takes widget. So we'll supply title here, and similarly we'll supply in Cupertino navigation bar, middle is that title. Okay, so this is how you need to make your choices, that this title where it goes basically. Cupertino navigation bar does not have any field like title, it has middle for that. Okay, in the documentation you can find that. So I will remove the const here, and now I will just supply these two fields. Okay, I will say that this should obstruct by default can be true. So this is not something which we mark it as required. And now what we will do here in the Cupertino page scaffold, we have this adaptive app bar. Let's go back here and we will see in the adaptive app bar the title is optional, but we will supply the title and we'll say, hey, take this text widget and say app title. Let's say that, or yeah, correct. So now let's run it for Android and let's run it for iOS as well. So you see the app title is on the left hand side for Android and app title is on the at the center for iOS. With this widget adaptive app bar, now you have achieved platform specific UIs for different app bars, right? So this is the minimalistic thing that you can do with adaptive app bar. You give the title once, but how it is rendered depends on where it is running based on this iOS flag. Similarly, there are more things to it. So let's add leading widget as well, because leading widget is something that you generally use, right? So this is leading. We will say again, this is an optional thing. So here it's called as leading itself. And even in the app bar, this property is the same. So Now it depends on us whether we supply leading or not. Let's say we supply a leading icon here, and we will say icons dot home rounded, and let's run it. Let's add const here, iOS and Android. So you see different colors because the home icon is blue color, as default color is blue here. That's why you see it in blue color, and here it's in black. So this is just because of the themes. Fine. So there are more things to it, not this much, because Cupertino navigation bar has some more options like background color, trailing, padding, border, hero tag, previous page title. This is something interesting. We will just have a look at it. But all these things are also there in your normal material app bar, like trailing, border, brightness. All of these can be here as well. So to make them, like in app bar, you will have actions. So whenever you are supplying actions to it, you will create a widget here, okay, and you will supply actions here, or you can supply trailing here. So all of this you can do here. Okay, one interesting thing what I wanted to see is, can we go to a detail screen? What about the navigation? So basically, now what I will do is I will go to this main.dart. I will make this text, you can say a tappable item. So let's say inkwell, okay, and here when I press on tap, it should take me somewhere to a detail screen, right? So I can use normal navigation like navigator. I will just show you that navigator dot push. Now what about this route? So we have to supply a page route here, as the documentation says it has to be a route. So there are two types of routes: material page route and Cupertino page route. Okay, so what we will do is we will create another folder. This time it will be again a directory. We will say page route, okay, and then we will have a dart file saying adaptive page route. We will have one function here that will be resulting us in page route, okay, and we will also have a generics here, so that whatever is the return type of this page route is given here as well. So we will say adaptive page route, okay, and then we will be supplying a variable which will represent whether it is iOS, then the screen that it has to navigate to, okay, and the title, because I will show you what is the meaning of this title later in this video itself. So let's go here and let's see if it's iOS. I will say Cupertino page route, and inside that, in the builder, I will have the screen passed as well as a title. So this has some meaning. I will show you that in a moment. And when we are not in iOS, we are in Android, we will say material page route, and here as well there is a builder, material page route, and let me just format it so that it's nice. Great. In the material page route we will have a builder. I think it's not able, it has not imported this, so let's import it, and now we have a builder here doing the same stuff, screen. And does it have a title? No, it doesn't have any title. So yeah, it's not needed. So it's specifically a functionality of iOS that we can supply this title, and the meaning of this title I will tell you what it is. So fine, so we have this adaptive page route. What we will do is, in here, while pushing another page, we will say that you go to adaptive page route and supply whether it's iOS or not, what is the screen? Let's say const detail screen. Okay, this is my screen, and title will be detail screen. Fine. Let me just quickly see what is the issues. Okay, invalid const. Great, fine. So we have this good looking adaptive page route. Now we need to create a detail screen. So let's head on to widgets folder. Let's create a directory. We'll say screens here, and we'll create another dart file where it will say detail screen. We have import material, not needed. We'll have a stateless, and then we'll say detail screen. So again, we can now use adaptive scaffold here, and we'll say, hey, the child is centered, child, and then text. This is my detail screen, and here as well I will have okay, in as another option I will have adaptive app bar this time again, and then here I can supply const text. We are reaching there, the use of having a detail screen and why I am creating detail screen when I am teaching adaptive app bar. But I want to show something, that's why we are doing this. So let's say detail screen is the title, or let's say detail screen in the title, because there is a meaning to this as well. I want to explain another option. Great. We have, okay, what's the problem here? Adaptive app bar, it requires a child. Oh, we are using adaptive app. Oh, it has to be adaptive app bar. So let's import this instead of adaptive app. Great. What is the problem? Okay, it requires iOS. So again, we'll copy this adaptive scaffolds line and use it in the detail screen. Great. It doesn't require child. Okay, it requires a title, sorry, so it needs a title. Great. And what is the problem with this? Value of null. Okay, fine. So this is great. Okay, fine. We have just formatted the file, and then yeah, great. We have this detail screen. From main screen we are able to now navigate. We are able to add the navigation to detail screen. Should we run the application? All done. Okay, so in Android and then iOS, it's restarted. Okay, great. Problem. So Inkwell is something which can only be used in material widgets. So what is the solution for that? Let's not use Inkwell. Let's use a more generic thing, which is gesture detector. And let's restart the application for iOS. Let's restart for Android again. Yeah. Now when I click on this is my centered text in iOS, nothing is happening. Okay. What's the problem? Let's see that. Navigator operation requested with a context that does not include a navigator. Okay. Let's see in Android if it is the same case. Okay, maybe the same problem. So how do we add the navigator? The context used to push or pop routes on the navigator must be that of a widget that is a descendant of navigator widget. Okay, so we are here. Context. What is this context? It's context of this. Okay, understood. We can navigate from a page, right? So let's bring out this scaffold to another widget that would be our home screen. So we will say hey, let's create another screen here. That would be our home screen, and we will import this everything here, and we will say stateless home screen, and we will, in the build function, we will just replace this with this one. Great. We have to just make some imports, and we need to import adaptive scaffold, adaptive app bar, and we need this beautiful line of detecting whether it's iOS or Android. Great. We have to also see detail screen. So restarted the application. There is a problem. Okay, so we say, hey, take the home screen as my first screen, and now maybe we can use const here. Great, I have started the Android application and I've started the iOS application. Now let's click on Android. So now we are able to navigate. Yes, so see, the context was of the app and we were trying to use navigator. Navigators I think are only available to Scaffold, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but after that, when we have the context here, this context has a knowledge about navigator. So we are in a detail screen on Android. We have moved like this, we come back and we go here. See the animation, it's popped up. Basically it's zoom, right? And when I click on iOS, it's sliding from right hand side. So this is native behavior that you have achieved by just using adaptive page route, by just telling that, okay, if it's iOS, I will use Cupertino page route. If it's Android, I will use material page route. And that's what happens when we click on this centered text. So you see, there is one more thing here. We have the same app title, and when I click on it, it has detail screen in the title, because in detail screen I have given this, right? Now this is my centered text. When I click on this, I move to detail screen in the title. Now there is one thing that I wanted to tell you in adaptive app bar, as we are doing adaptive app bar today. So let's come back to adaptive app bar. Okay, here there is something called automatically imply leading. So we can make it true or false. Let's make it true, okay, for both the cases, and let's run it again for both the platforms. So when I click on this, it has taken this one, and when I take this, it has taken this one. Very good. So it doesn't do anything, but this flag can do wonders if you use it with false. So let's again rerun it for Android and iOS, and let's see the difference. When I click on my centered text, the back arrow is gone. So this is the meaning of automatically imply leading. Okay. There is one more and same thing happens here as well. There is no back icon here. Another thing is automatically imply middle. Okay, so when this automatically imply middle is true, then if we supply this title as null, okay, so from the detail screen, if we have told that, okay, and this is null here, okay, and then when we restart the application, right, so when I click on my centered text, we still have a title which is detail screen. From where this title is coming? It is coming from your page route. So this title is being supplied to adaptive page route. When we were in the home screen, we called detail screen as the title of this screen, and this title became from here we supplied this title, and this title with the help of Cupertino page route became the title of your screen. And this is what happens when you use automatically imply middle as true. So this was another thing that I wanted to teach. There is one more thing called previous page title. So Of course, it's not used in Android, but we can still have a variable of string type. It can be previous page title, because you want to support iOS as well in your applications. So you can keep this functionality still alive in your application. So what we will do in the detail screen, we will say that the previous page title is home, because it is coming from home, you know that, or you can take it from the stack as well. Now when you restart the application for iOS and you make it, you click it, okay, it doesn't have that. Why? Because automatically imply was false. So and also this variable should not be directly true or false from here. It should be made true or false from these variables, so that it applies to both Cupertino navigation bar as well as app bar. So now when I restart the application, this is being true here. I click on it and I see home, right? And also detail. When I click on it, it goes back. So this is how it happens. You see the animation here. This slight animation is very native to iOS applications, and the people who have bought iPhone, right, they will miss this feature if you use Material app in your iOS phone. So it's better to have adaptive widgets. So this is how the animation is. Now let's quickly look at slivers, adaptive sliver app bar, which is a very good thing to have. So let's quickly cover that as well. Let me just duplicate it. So great. Copy this, because later we might use a normal app bar as well. So let's rename it adaptive sliver app, and let's rename this file. So what are the differences here? First thing is we will not have should obstruct here, because we will not have these two things as well, because slivers are not actual app bars. They are just another component in the custom scroll view. So, and also because now we will not have this iOS will not be needed here, so we can get rid of this as well, and get rid of this, get rid of this. So we'll have title, a leading, and previous page title. Okay, we remove it here. Now when it's iOS, we will just basically calculate it from here. Okay, so let's try to use it in both the pages, adaptive, or let's just use it in detail screen. Instead of adaptive app bar, let's use adaptive sliver app bar and run the application. Let's see if everything is working. We will get rid of, we will have const text, and we'll say sliver text. Fine. What is the problem? Oh, great. In the adaptive scaffold, we don't need to call app bar now. Instead, we will be having a custom scroll view, because that's how you are having slivers. So here we will have slivers. The first sliver will be adaptive sliver app bar, and second would be sliver to, I will just use a simpler one, sliver to box adapter with height of with a child, and that child would be, that would be sized box, height would be 200, and there will be a text in the center, 1, and similarly we will have another one, 800 height, and we'll say 2, just for visual differences. So we have this detail screen, we will restart it. So now when I click on, this is my center text. Okay, there is an issue. Let's see if that issue is here as well. Great, both the places. So we have done something wrong here. Adaptive sliver app bar. Let's see. Oh, we have not changed anything here. Okay, it has to be Cupertino sliver navigation bar, and this doesn't apply here, which means that maybe, okay, this will apply. And here we will have sliver app bar, right? So now let's try to run it for Android and for iOS. Let's click on Android button and we have moved to this beautiful page. Nothing happens. Yes, we will make some changes, and here, great, nothing happens again. So we'll see how to make the changes. Instead of middle, we have to replace it with large title. Now we will see if we can run it on iOS first. So when I click on it, you see this, the title has moved to here. So this is how the default functionality of Cupertino Sliver navigation bar works like. And in the Sliver app bar, we will have a flexible space. This flexible space can be flexible space bar, and inside that we will have a title which we supplied, of course, and then there in the background I just want to place a Flutter logo with a colored box. So the color will be gray, and in the child I will have Flutter logo, and this is fine. And I will have to also specify a expanded height here, expanded height, and let's say 200 or 240. Let's run it only for Android. So when I click on it, I go here, I slowly move it here, and it does it like this. So what we can do here, see, first of all, let us make it true so that we have nice back arrow, so that this title merges exactly on the same. Now what we did wrong here was, instead of supplying title to Sliver app bar, let's only do it to flexible space bar, which will have only one title now, and we can smartly go here. Later you can also decide to change the color of this sliver title so that it matches beautifully on the app bar, and that is it. So this is how you, so what you will do basically, this is flexible space, right? And it takes a widget. Now, is there any possibility to supply some widget here to your Cupertino one? I see. I don't see that, so we don't have any option for that. Can we do one thing? Instead of title, can we use a colored box? Let's see. I'm trying it. Let's see, instead of title, let's see that, and only run it for iOS. So this is the last thing that we are covering in this video. So I go into details page, I have this. Oh, nice. That's pretty good. Looks good. The colored box has to have to be in a sized box so that it has good height of 240. Let's run it. Go here. Oh, nothing happens. So yeah, not a problem. It doesn't work much. It doesn't work better. But yeah, this is the minimal functionality. So if you want to supply flexible space, then you can declare a widget here. Use it in Sliver app bar, but not in Cupertino Sliver navigation bar. So this is how you achieve a mix of both, right? So this is the end of this video. We have learned about navigation, default navigation of Cupertino, as well as this material navigation. We have learned about app bar. We have learned about Sliver app bar. In the next video, we will be working on adaptive bottom tab scaffold, where we'll have 3 or 4 bottom tabs, and they will look different on Android and different on Android than iOS, and the functionality will also differ a little bit. So in the next video, you will see that.